So, thank you so much for staying with me in the past hour or so. At the end of the day, where the rubber hits the road is when you, as a peer supporter, needs to support another person in need. And really, how do you fit into this entire landscape? We've talked about a few things, including not making assumptions, understanding the biopsychosocial risk factors relating to mental health issues. We've also talked about the variety of resources that could be available to you as you support others in need. It's also important to know where you fit in the entire ecosystem. At the end of the day, you are being trained to help someone who is having some level of difficulty but still coping well, or someone who is currently struggling with a few things in their life that need support. It should not be to the extent where the person is having a lot of difficulty, immense difficulty, to the extent where they're in crisis, and you happen to find yourself all alone in having to manage it. As part of wanting to help another individual, it's important for you to also know where the boundaries of your skill set ends. And this is something that you must be aware of. As a peer support facilitator, you can provide a space for them to feel supported, for them to feel connected with others around them. A lot of this work actually comes in the social aspects of the mental health of the individual. So, for example, if someone is grieving over the loss of a loved one, or if someone is having difficulty in terms of managing, say, their school or their work, as I mentioned previously, the first port of call will really be within those most close to them. There may not necessarily be a need for them to go beyond the more immediate circle of support. In truth, actually, if every one of us had some degree of peer support skills, we would actually make better friends. We would be able to be a bit more sensitive to one another, and perhaps collectively as a community, we're a lot more caring and sensitive to one another. And that really is the intent of having a peer support skill. Eventually, at the end of the day, obviously, it's also quite important to know where the boundaries are in terms of your own skill sets, to not assume that just because the initial stressor may have started off as part of a life difficulty, we shouldn't assume that this individual may not necessarily need any specialist help at all. That is to say that we need to be clear at the point of time whether this individual needs help from a psychologist or even a psychiatrist. You need to get a sense of where the person is on the mental health spectrum. Remember the continuum. And if they are indeed no longer thriving or surviving, and they are struggling and in crisis, you need to have that sense of awareness that they may need additional help professionally. There needs to be someone stepping in to be able to support. So that doesn't mean that you step away from this individual. The professional layer is but another layer above and beyond the peer support layer that you give to this individual to be able to strengthen him or her in their time of need. You can prevent the cycle of feeling alone. You can be with the person, at least within the proximity of his inner circle. If someone is struggling with mental health, a posture of being non-judgmental, just really giving a listening ear, really to challenge some of these assumptions that they may have about seeking help, especially along the lines of stigma. You may actually give them that added confidence to want to be able to step out and be able to seek help. Additionally, while the word of a professional will lend some weight in the treatment process, when you are close to the individual and he or she is able to appreciate that you feel genuinely for their difficulties, the weight of that kind of empathy, the kind of affirmation and support has the potential to do much, much more for the individual than what any other professional can offer. You shouldn't underestimate your role to be a peer support facilitator for individuals in their time of need. And I wish you well in this journey of learning to be a peer support facilitator. Obviously, it doesn't stop here. You will grow in terms of your skill set And hopefully this entire journey of learning makes you also a better individual and certainly a more sensitive one. I'm actually very, very excited to see how you end up helping others with these new skills, and I wish you all the very best.